Welcome everybody back to Macro Crypto. It's your host, Shane Mack. If you do enjoy this content, please give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head over to our Twitter page at Macro Crypto Club. Give us a follow. If you need the link, it's in the bottom, in the description. Let's dive into the content. So what's in front of you is my top 5 values, my pillars for why I invest in different projects, ecosystems, DeFi, smart contract platforms, even into the NFT space. And number 1, near and dear to my heart, is decentralization. It's by far the most important factor for me personally. It's why I got into the space. It's why I'm going to stay in the space. Number 2, it's in bold for a reason because we're going to be going over this content today. It's follow the devs, not just follow the money, but in the crypto space, we follow the devs. Number 3, it's growth, use cases. Where is this potential going to go? How can I use it? How can society use it? And number 4, innovation. This basically, are you an innovation leader or are you just a copycat? Which one? Because are you driving new things that are going to be adopted and that are groundbreaking, or are you just copying from a different platform? Number 5 is that adoption. Who's adopting it? Is it governments across the world adopting it? Are different companies adopting it? Are communities adopting it? So all these are driving factors. We'll go over each and every one of them in different videos down the line, so you can kind of get into my way of thinking here and maybe help form your own opinion in your own way when you're heading into different investments. But today we're taking a deep dive into following the devs. So we're going to give a hat tip off to Electric Capital, which is going to be providing a lot of the content today. They do a yearly breakdown of developers in the space, in the crypto space, to be more specific. And why Electric Capital is so important to me, or I view their opinion strongly. It's also opinion viewed strongly by Cathie Wood, saying follow the open source developers. Mind you, this was a 2020 tweet, but it's important to also notice that they bring this out in 2018, 19, 20, 21. So each and every year, they're giving a breakdown of where the developers are. And if you don't know who Cathie Wood is, she is a manager of a asset management fund called ARK. And one that's highly respected. So her opinion also highly respected. And let's dive into a little bit more about Electric Capital. They are build the future of Web3. Electric Capital is an early stage venture firm focused on cryptocurrencies, blockchain, fintech, and marketplaces. We invest in Web3 companies, liquid tokens, and illiquid tokens. So their approach is that being Web3 founders need a new kind of partner, one with deep understanding of the community governance, token economics, cryptography, and distributed systems. We built Electric from the ground up to help founders with these new challenges. Most Electric team members are former founders, engineers, and designers. We participate in governance, liquidity mining, and community building. We run our own nodes, advise on token economics, and build tools to help founders. And some of their investments and prior investments are right here in front of you. For instance, like Near Protocol, also Frax, which you will see some of that information presented throughout this presentation. And let's go ahead, give a little bit of a caveat to this as well. They do have an undercut on the counting of developers because they rely on open source repositories through like companies like GitHub, and those closed source developments and code is not open for them to be able to count on an accurate number, okay? Not all commits are created equal. Some code commits may be routine changes, whereas other represent hours of accumulated research and analysis. Despite these caveats, we consider the analysis of this report directionally and relatively accurate, okay? So let's go ahead, look into active developers, how the space looks, and this is an all-time high for Web3. That means the entire space, over 18,000 developers, and this is a graph from 2009, and as you can see, the basically monthly active developers over time. They did want basically point out some of these dips along the way or around holidays or different factors in the market, but overall, the growth has continuation over time with an increase. Now, monthly developers versus the Web3 network value. So basically what we're talking about is a whole crypto space in general, from that blow off top in 2017 with crypto. And then even when it fell from its peak for 83%, we're talking about Bitcoin in general right there, the developers stayed flat. So you can see the development or developers into the space increased and they stayed. And now they're increasing again throughout this market. And also want to talk about that within the cycle, like the last, developers continue to grow until 2023, even if prices peak today. Not saying prices are going to peak, but if there is an expectation or just an estimate that prices have peaked out, their belief is that developers will continue to grow within the space and then flatten out if there's a bear market. And then also fewer new developers, but more than zero have joined when prices decrease. This offsets developers leaving the ecosystem. So when we're talking about new Web3 developers versus Web3 network value, so even when there's a decrease, fewer new developers join when network values decrease. That just means that there's fewer of them coming into the space that are new to the space, okay? Doesn't mean that they're leaving in droves. It just means there's less new developers on a monthly basis. And then also want to talk about part-time versus one-time and also full-time devs. There is a 230% increase on just one-time devs. That's in and out. Part-time devs, there is a 60% increase from last year during this time. Part-time is committing less than 10 days per month, and full-time is over 10 days per month commitment. So 2 developer categories that we'll kind of focus on a little bit is your protocol developers. That's working on your core protocol, more highly sought after developers, and then community developers, which are working on decentralized applications, documentation, tooling, wallets, and anything else furthering the project. And then we go into our new developers that are entering the space, which is kind of the most important factor when, as we talked about, that has kind of been in correlation with the price of the marketplace. So when Bitcoin has the consistent pipeline of over 100 new devs coming in per month, and that dates back to 2017, as you see a nice little movement, it's a consistent 100 or more new developers per month joining, especially recently within the last 2 years. And then when we're talking about 700 new developers joining Ethereum every month, is the reason why me and my brother are so bullish on Ethereum. And it basically has the largest position in our portfolio. So you'll notice, especially within the last year, over 700 plus average of new developers per month, which also then draws about 20 to 25% of all developers in the entire Web3 community. I'll repeat that. 20 to 25% of all new developers are going to the Ethereum network. Bullish. Let's move it. Ecosystem comparisons. So now we're going to drive in a little bit further on different ecosystems and where their developers lie. As you can see, Ethereum far outweighs gains, however you want to put it, has more developers in their ecosystem than any other platform. And number 3 in my portfolio, I don't know where it stands in my brother's, but Polkadot leading on the developers in that second position might give you a different view into Polkadot on why we're also so bullish on Polkadot and that ecosystem. As you can see, who rounds this out is Cosmos, Bitcoin, and Solana. Bitcoin is kind of trending in a not a loss, but kind of staying flat on gaining or losing developers over time. But Bitcoin is a beast on its own that we will kind of discuss in another video on why we believe that's kind of occurring during this time. So let's go dive in a little bit farther, zoom into this, leaving out Polkadot and Ether since they're kind of so far out there. And we're going to understand and visualize this on a deeper level. These are ecosystems that have between 300 to 1,000 developers. And surprise, surprise, Solana, almost 5x total developers within the last year, near 4x total developers. So Solana and near basically 4x, Solana almost seen 5x here. You'll also see Cosmos and Bitcoin over here, but they did not increase their developers like these other projects did. Basically, these are within 300,000 developers. The other communities that have over 1,000 developers is only 2 of them. Polkadot and then Ether, which has over 4,000. Crazy. Ecosystems between 51 and 300 developers. We got Terra, ICP, which is the Internet Computer Protocol, Phantom, and Harmony. All those basically more than 4x'd on the developers, but you see also 3xing is Avalanche. Everybody's a little bit of a favorite there. And remember, this is just data for you to kind of understand what we're following. You have to have value. You can't just take from one data set and be like, oh, wow, Solana has so many developers pouring into their system from the previous year. I'm pouring all my money into Solana. You got to have different outlooks like decentralization, use cases, adoption, innovation, what's going on within the project, and how is it going to progress year after year, not just from what it did from last year, because all this information is taken into account from only from 2020 to at the end of 2021, and we're presenting it to you for you to make your own decision on how you want to move forward with your investments. Just wanted to throw that out there because none of this is financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. Make sure to put that in every single one of my videos. Also, top 10 fastest growing ecosystems with 50 plus developers. So when we're talking growth of total monthly developers, Phantom, Solana round out the top 2 into the top 10. Down there, you see Chainlink and Polygon. Also, if we're talking growth on full-time monthly developers, when you kind of push aside only when you're taking into account all developers versus full-time, kind of full-time developers push away all the other noise. When you're only focusing on the full-time, you see Terra and Solana and Near Protocol rounding out into that top 10, okay? So this is what leads us right into that. What a great segue by myself. It's like I put this presentation together. Full-time developers only, so this is going to help smooth out all the noise for us. We're going to Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos, Solana, and Bitcoin, Near, Cardano, and Kusama are ecosystems with 100 plus full-time developers, 10 plus commits a month. So, and that's it. That's your list. So full-time developers where people are given 10 plus commits per month instead of a one-time commit or a part-time commit being less than 10. Let's zoom in the ecosystem where between 50 to 30 full-time developers. So again, outside of Ethereum and Polkadot, just pointing that out on a continuous basis. For ecosystems with 50 plus full-time developers, Solana and Near 4x'd, same story, different sheet, but you'll also notice that, with Cosmos and Bitcoin out there, that's had just longer development. Cardano's also within that realm. Binance Smart Chain is making their moves, and we're going to go right into rate of growth. How this is going to differ from the information we just went over is also based off of their timeline. When did they commit their first code? And then how quickly were they able to grow and who outpaced each other? And when we start to look at, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, Near, Cardano, Polygon, and Tezos, they all have 250 plus developers, and how they outpace, you won't see Ethereum, Polkadot, Cosmos, Solana, and Bitcoin on this because that excludes them from this. But I do want to point out Near in this regard because they are outpacing everyone right now in the amount of developers. Not to say that it's crazy bullish news, but it gives you at least reason or caution or kind of a moment to pause and look deeper in Near Protocol, which, maybe we will take a video and go over Near together. But I do want to point that out. Also, Avalanche being so early, they're only about 800 days from their first commit. Also, fast-paced growth within Avalanche, which is a EVM branch from Ethereum. Just pointing that out. I'm going to keep pushing Ether all the time and every time because it's so many developers are going to this project and it has high decentralization. Crazy use case. Okay, yes, I'm an Ethereum bull. Enough about it. All right, so back to our content for today. There are many new emerging ecosystems with 50 plus full-time devs, and look at Near driving that force and doing it quickly. Again, We'll take a dive into Near, see if it's even meet some of those other 4 pillars that we discuss. Do want to talk about full-time developers. Polkadot, Near, Solana, and BCS have more full-time devs than Ethereum at the same point after first code commit. I do want to also say that this kind of dictates how much the space has grown and how much adoption. It also dictates these numbers, but you'll see Near and Solana kind of pacing with where Ether was. Polkadot severely outpacing early on where Ethereum was at. Also, big reason why I'm bullish on both these projects. Just look how far they're outpacing all other projects, and the decentralization factor alone is also a big factor against Solana and Binance Smart Chain. So we go into Web3 developer growth. This is just to kind of give you some comparisons to look at as through 2016 up to 2021, how many developers are in the space, currently sitting at over 18,000, to give you kind of also an idea of what that growth looks like. Remember, we talked right after the 2017 crash, then we had a nice lull, but that space did not go down with the price. Remember, it basically stayed flat, and as this is a representation of that, now we're seeing an increase. So hopefully we see one more increase, and then there'll probably be a plateau on developers when this space does crash, which it does in cycles until it basically becomes fully adopted. And what you want to be able to do is look at select companies like Goldman Sachs or Amazon and where Web3 sits against just companies and as an entire space, how much of an, like, it looks at, it's in its infancy stage. It's not even just a company. These are platforms for the world, for development and giant ecosystems, and the growth is just immense when you compare it up against other developers and how many developers are in other spaces like JavaScript, Python, C++, and you just got your Web3 dot right over here. So if you take it back, or you take a step back, look at all this information, understand that the growth is only going to continue up over time at a macro outlook, super bullish on the entire space, even more so in the decentralized space. And, you know, Electric is basically in agreement with us. And the growth of developers in Web3 represents a small yet rapidly expanding portion of software engineers globally, side by side with the largest Web2 internet companies, that's e.g. Facebook and Google. And the Web3 developer contingent is comparable in size. As the industry of technology, you know, Python, Web3 has plenty of headroom. So NFTs, gaming, DAOs, and future use cases, considering the like all these possible applications, there is much to be excited about. Web3 is not just about cryptocurrencies and trading. Many developers are attracted by the possibilities to innovate on new platforms. A wide range of primitive protocols and applications around NFTs, gaming, DeFi, and DAOs are yet to be created. And a little bit on a idea of when this, back in, what was this, 2019. So this was reviewing from 2018 and 2019. I also want to point out that not all charts are going to give you the outlook that you are expecting, just because, like, based off Solana or other project, even Polkadot for this instance. These were some of the leaders back in 2018 for the highest amount of commits, especially for the amount of value that they held at that time. Tron was up there, Cardano, EOS. Most of these nowhere to be seen. So just take that with a grain of salt when you get some of this information presented to you. I do want to point out that not all graphs are going to give you information that's going to be the driving force to make the most accurate choice when choosing an investment. And that's why we have those 5 pillars. It's just one way we look into a platform or a smart contract platform and look at how that ecosystem is going to perform over time. And we use this as one tool. So just hope you enjoyed the content today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Also, again, like and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, everybody. Peace.